make it simple. Like, don't try to complicate it. Don't try to do too much, and just make it about them and not necessarily typing in what you see as possible for them, but like at least giving off that energy while you're creating the copy.
I'm still holding the Harmony One, man. I ain't letting go, bro. Hodling. You still got your Harmony One? You sold it.
Yeah. I just added. Nah, I'm holding. I actually sold. Or not sold. I added 500 bucks, like 530 something bucks the other day. Because I got that Christmas money from family. I was just like, yeah,
put it into the one. Put it into the one.
Throw it in there, bro. Throw it in.
Set and forget, right? So real quick, while I'm pulling this up, man, like, how did it feel to like reach out? Like, what was that like, man?
As far as last night,
yeah.
It was initially it was interesting, it was stretchy, but I realized that the more I think the quieter I got, the more it's funny because I was like, I know he's gonna call me out on overthinking right now. He's like, hey, what's up, man? I can feel your energy. He ain't saying a word, dog. I can feel you though. So once I realized, like, after we went through, I think it was like maybe the third one where it finally clicked, where I was like, okay, like, it really is just about relationship building. It's not about you trying to say the perfect thing, or even like trying to pitch your services in like a ooh, look at me type of way. It's just just be honest with people. Don't complicate it. And I feel like I was able to carry that momentum into last night for the rest of it. The part where I had to shift and then I had to go back to, which I probably wouldn't do again, I'd probably just stick with the copy from now on as far as I'm creating more of an efficient process, is I switched over to the editing because I still needed to knock out those videos that way that went along with the email. So I would end up just doing the copy and the research and everything beforehand again, and just go that route. That way, when the editing goes, everything is more succinct. So I have the copy already taken care of. I have the templates already formatted, and all I'm doing is just stitching up the videos. If anything, going on Canva, creating a thumbnail, and then posting it. So overall, the process, it started off a little bit, as a little bit raw, but as I was able to get out of my head and just get into just listening to the feedback that you were giving of just make it simple. Like, don't try to complicate it. Don't try to do too much, and just make it about them and not necessarily typing in what you see as possible for them, but like at least giving off that energy while you're creating the copy. I feel like it made it that much more fun and enjoyable, and I actually realized like I had an aha moment for the first time doing this type of outreach. So,
bro, that's what's up, man. Like, it's like pushing a car, right? Or even a semi truck. Let's say semi truck. Like the first couple steps, probably the first few steps was tough. It's like this is so heavy. Like, oh my gosh, like, do I have the right angle? Am I going to run out of energy? Am I like, wow, this is tough, right? But then once it's moving, it becomes easier. It's like the momentum, right? That's why momentum is so important, bro. Like I hate taking breaks. I love taking breaks personally. Like, don't get me wrong, I love relaxing, put on some Netflix. Like tonight, I can't wait to go put on The Matrix tonight, right? I'm looking forward to it. But I know when I stop, it's like starting over, and it's like starting from the beginning and pushing that truck, which is our business.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, and I realize that's one thing that it's cool to just growing with you, because for me, the story that I've always thought, or the persona that I always thought that you had was like dude's like a robot. He's like a bull or a robot. Like, he's gonna bulldoze through anything in his way. It is what it is. Like, get paid or get out of my face type of thing. And just growing with you over the past years, it's not only have you seen my blind spots and pitfalls and stuff like that, but I've been able to see your journey and seeing your growth as well, and seeing you be more transparent about what you have going on, or like what goes on through your head, and the fact that you go through analysis paralysis and stuff like that as well. It's like, man, I think that actually is the thing that got me closer to you, because I realized, like, man, like, everybody goes through this stuff. It's not just you, because you get a lot of self beat up on this journey of entrepreneurship because you're doing it by yourself for the most part, unless you already have a team or you have partners that you're coming in here with. And so being able to surround yourself around, it showed me the power of community, and just being able to surround yourself around the right people. That way, when you're going through stuff and you're really building and um, being in committed action regarding your vision, you have not only people around you that are holding you high, but people that are being as transparent in the process. So you get to see that, like, hey, it really is a day by day thing. It's not some, because me, I'm so future focused, like, hey, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? That it makes you have to slow down and really appreciate the process that you're going on. So yesterday, as my mind was focusing on the future and you were holding me accountable to where I am right now, that's what allowed me to really calm down. And when I finally calmed down, I was like, okay, here's what we're doing. Like, we're just trying to create messages, trying to understand where people are at, trying to acknowledge them for something amazing that they either had their hand in or that their school had their hand in. And use that as a lead in to be able to connect with them more. So I feel like that really opened up my eyes a lot to realizing that how much I've been overcomplicating the process, thinking that and really, let's be honest, if you want to unpack it all, it's tied into imposter syndrome. It's tied into thinking that you're somebody that you're not, thinking that you have to do so much stuff that you don't need to do, rather than just realizing that the first thing in any business, the first thing in any even if you're working at a corporate job, the first thing for you to get where you want from point A to point B is understand the plan or the direction that you need to go. And then number two is who is already on that track, or who is already there that can help me along the journey, or that I can run with along the way. So even if we're chasing two different things, but we're still in the same direction, we at least know where we're going, and that we're able to help each other. Every joint supplies. So I feel like that's been like the biggest thing, that biggest eye opener for me right now in my outreach in marketing. For myself, me, man, I get on strategy, bro. I can,
Yeah.
Man, I'm there all day, but when it comes to me having to look myself in the mirror, me having to sit down and like really see that, okay, where are you messing up? Where are you, just dropping the ball for yourself, or giving yourself the easy out? Like, you saw me last night, you called me out on it because I was antsy. I was like, ooh, I'm getting anxious. I need to go work out, bro. I need to get out of here. And he's like, nah. If you really want it, you will sit your butt in that seat. It was to the point where when that happened, I got off the phone with you, I got off the Zoom call with you. I literally sent my girl a voice message, because she's 3 hours ahead. I sent her a voice message and was like, "Hey, babe, just letting you know I'm about to lock in. I already started, built up this momentum with Dez, so I'm just gonna keep this going. So I'm gonna be here all night. More than likely, I'm not getting home till late anyway. So I just want to let you know, like, if you have time for a quick FaceTime, cool, like for a couple minutes. But besides that, like, I gotta get back to work. I gotta keep this momentum up. So I'll talk to you later." So she FaceTime me for a quick second, but from there I was like, yeah, letting you know right now, like, I'm sensing something shifting inside of me right now, so I have to keep going with that. So I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll connect later, And then from there, I found out I literally left the office at 3:00. Dog tired.
In the morning.
Yeah, in the morning. Yeah. Like, I'm dog tired. It was the janitors looking at me like, Mijo, you still here? I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. I got like 2-3 more hours of me, bro. Like, you might as well pop a seat, have a conversation, because I'm gonna be here for a little bit. But overall, it just showed me that although, like, there's a little mundane task that I didn't get done, that I told you about, that I get to follow up on today and finish. It just requires a little bit more elbow grease and digging. I'm proud of myself for actually showing up in that way. So it's like, for the first time since this whole process of this challenge with Heather, I actually don't and I'm still working on that now. Of course, it's always a constant shift, I feel like. But for the first time last night, I actually was able to know what it felt like to remove myself from the end result and just tie myself into the daily process that I get to commit to. I can't control other people when they, yeah, even from the challenge. I have people that say that they verbally commit, but besides the strategy call today with Ray, there has been no actual, income coming in, for the challenge or to secure the bag with that. So with that, it's like, okay, do I really want to hold my head like I normally would do? It's like, dang, man, look at you, self-worth complex or self-worth conversation. Or do I actually want to, dig deep and realize, hey, man, I'm proud of you for just showing up what you did last night and then being able to come in the office, 3 hours later and get in here and start figuring this stuff out again. Like you're tired, but you're doing it tired. You're maybe frustrated at times, but you're doing it frustrated, and you're still showing up and you can only it's like being in baseball, you're not going to hit it's not about how many times you get on base. It's how many times you get up to the plate. That's the stuff that matters. Everything else after that is, essentially the score takes care of itself, but you got to be able to get into the arena be the man in the arena before everything else can actually, really fall at your feet. So,
man, dude, that was some good stuff. You definitely like what you said, like there's a hit, like everyone at either some point or in some degree is still dealing with that stuff, man. Like, bro, like they're out of 5 days a week, I would have to be honest and say like 2 or 3 of those, at least 2, for sure 2. I'm gonna say at least 2. 2 of the days I'm like, I don't feel like doing nothing today, right? Like, or it might be like those like deep sigh days because being an entrepreneur, man, it's demanding, right? Like being your own boss is, like drinking mojitos on the beach. Like, dude, like I'm traveling the world right now where I've spent some time in Hawaii, I'm in Colombia, I'm going to go to the Mediterranean and the Mediterranean with Greece, Italy, all these different places. But out of all the time I'm going to be there, 80% of the time, my ass is probably going to be working in this office. I'm looking at an office right now. Today's what? It's around New Year's. Bro, I'm the only one selling the smoke right now, right? Like first one in, last one out, bro. And it's hustle culture. I know Heather's always telling me to like don't go too hard. Not go too hard, but just balance, like understanding like energy and not guns blazing, but I just think it's important to like put yourself in those positions where you think you're at a limit so that you can like push yourself to create new limits, right? Like put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Like I love forced restarts, right? Like putting every dollar to work and essentially like be cash broke, poor, right? Not poor, but cash broke because you're poor is the mindset. Right? Being cash broke. So making yourself go out and go to get another bag, because what's crazy about people who are accumulating wealth is you could take their wealth away and they'll find a way to still be wealthy. Right? Because once you know the rules of the game and the pattern of society and how to network and how to, you understand that at the end of the day, human beings, we're guaranteed to make decisions based on our own self-interest, and all the economics is an exchange of value, right? Then you'll collect the bag and accumulate again, right? Like, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy, man. It's literally the most fascinating thing in the world to me. Is that kind of psychological profile. One thing that you said that I definitely want to give to the audience right now, because I think it'd be super, super valuable, is if you guys notice, man, a lot of the stuff that we talk about, like some of the patterns is like time management, right? Like time management and like being real with yourself. Like it's so easy, like, oh, just put it on your, like the first thing is put it all on your calendar, right? A lot of, entrepreneurs, they plan out their day, like everyone, like it's one-on-one. If you're not planning out your day, like then you're just wasting time, you're not productive. And at the end of the day, economic growth and capitalism is based upon productivity, right? But the follow through are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Because if you don't do what you say you're going to do, you're not only less productive, but you're also harming your own unconscious mind, right? Like you're harming your own self, your own confidence, because you lie to yourself, and like, even though you're the only one that knows, right? You know, that's huge. And so like, and then that's when procrastination sinks in, and then it compounds. Right? I'll do that. I'll take care of that, and you distract yourself with busy work or things that you think are more important. But when really, man, like when you're below 1 million, it's like customers. That's important. Obviously, fulfillment's important as well. It's either fulfillment and more customers. That's it. Like websites, funnels, like copywriting, like honestly, like you can get away with of running to 1 million without any of that crap by just simply networking and reaching out and building relationships and consistently doing it. Right. I'm not saying like it's not a strategic advantage not to have those things, but I'm just trying to, prove to you guys that like you don't even need anything, really. Like obviously you need some contracts, maybe an LLC, but like you don't need a brand. You just need to be able to solve problems.
You're right. You're right. I think that's one of the things that makes me so fascinated about entrepreneurs. There's entrepreneurs everywhere, right? And there's certain types of entrepreneurs that just like that's why Heather, perfect example. That's why when I see a certain group of entrepreneurs, I get so like fascinated to like learn from them, just like, almost like dissecting their mindset. Is how do you? It's having the ability or having the mindset that you, or the skill set that you can be dropped anywhere in the world and you know how to make something and provide and figure something out, from just that situation that you got dropped into because of the belief that you have within yourself. If you don't, that's one thing I'm learning now is that's why I always say it's interesting coming from a sports background, because you have a certain level of confidence. But beyond that, there's a skill set that you haven't cultivated while you're playing sports and all that, because you've been so brainwashed to just knock that stuff out. That when it comes to the real world, or comes to applying a different skill set or a different set of habits or operating system, it requires a different version of you. So that's really when you're starting to see who you really are, how you really show up, and how you can really make a lasting impact in the world in a bigger way. And in a way, I think this year alone, I realized I've had to humble myself in many ways. I mean, you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, that within my journey, what I've had to go through. But just realizing that it's been a slow cooker of a process, which has always got me back to the marketing, the sales as the main things. And you can't get marketing and sales if you don't know who you are. You can't know who you are. I'm sorry, you can't know what product or service or what value you provide to the world if you don't even know who you are first. So it's always starting there. It always brings you back to home base, which is, who are you? What can you do in this environment? You're not going to be able to do the same thing on the sports field as you will be able to do, in the classroom. Just like you won't be able to do the same thing in, a corporate office as you would be able to do within your own office running a business. It's different mindsets that you have to constantly learn, and modalities you have to learn how to shift in and out of. I think that a lot of times entrepreneurs nowadays, we've always been marketed to that it's so glitz and it's so shiny, it's so cool, it's so fanciful. It is it's one of the most lonely things. If you like, there's a reason why they say the majority of entrepreneurs have mental health issues. I'm over here playing water backgrounds and waterfall background noises all day just to make sure I'm staying sane, and like it keeps my engine going. But realize the bigger game that you're getting into with this. And one thing that I love that you said a minute ago is, it's about consistency as well. A lot of times, I know that's been my biggest issue, that I've been really working on improving, or that strength, or I'm sorry, that I don't want to say weakness, but area of improvement that I've really been working on is, how do I show up consistently? Because I realized that a big part of me waking up today, even though I was dog tired, was because I knew that I made the promise to myself yesterday that I actually kept for a first time in a while. It's that self-confidence of being able to say, hey, no matter how hard it gets, I'm not going to let myself down. I'm going to show up by any means necessary, and taking that to the next thing, and then allowing that to be good enough. Then it's like you're stacking chips every single day along the way, and as you do that, you build that self-confidence, because even if you don't necessarily know what value you bring, it, like you said, goes back to home base, right? That home base is, who you are. So even if you don't know what skill you actually bring to that table at that time, you at least know that you are a person of follow through. And that is very hard to find in this world. Most people, it's like, oh yeah, I can follow through as long as it benefits me more than it benefits you or benefits the group. Being able to add value to somebody, that not only does take consistency, but it also takes persistence and being able to keep showing up, even if because you're always having that, engine go off in your mind about, oh shoot, am I adding enough value? Am I not adding enough value? By you going through the process of being consistent and being persistent, being able to be confident and like, hey, you know what? Like, even though I might not know everything that this whole project or this, problem entails, I at least know what I'm able to bring to the table with just those basic qualities and characteristics. I know I can figure it out along the way, which means I'm in it for the ride. I'm not just in it I'm here for a good time, not a long time, Shout out to Michael Chandler and the UFC.
Bro, yeah, man, this is some good stuff. I was, man, dude, where I want to go with this, because I really want this to land. Yeah, so one thing that's like definitely has helped me personally in staying in the game. And I think this is just, I wanted to do this for another episode, but you know what? Like we'll tease it out here today and stay high level, but still pretty valuable. But it's focused, man. Right? Like one thing that you talked about, like sitting down in that chair in your office until 3 o'clock in the morning, staying laser focused and doing the things you needed to do. Right? Like focus, right? Controlled focus. And I think this is where Heather comes in, and Heather's talking in my head right now. She's here on the episode, even though it's just me and Josh today. But when she says like, okay, I don't need to do 5, 6, 14-hour days a week, it's because of focus, right? Controlled focus, right? And I just notice when I'm super, super focused, things not only move faster, but results compound. And when I say compound, I mean, I'm talking about, I don't see the results maybe right away, but I'll see it a month from now, a week from now, 2 months from now, right? From these little seeds, this focus, like I found the right piece of the earth that was the most packed with nutrients. And I just like planted the perfect seed in that perfect patch. And then it just something sprouted after a few weeks, right? And then it turned into this magnificent, crop that bared amazing fruit that I'm able to sell in the marketplace or eat and share with my family, which is the people that I'm in business with, right? And I think that focus is important. So here's what I want to give you guys today, right? And I probably brought this up in different episodes, this particular technique, but I just really want to share this because it's huge for me. And that is taking your calendar to a whole nother level, like adding a journaling element to it. Like, I think, some people may use notebooks to write notes throughout the day. I think that's fine if you like that handwritten thing. But me personally, I use Notion. I have this thing called Des Daily Briefing. And I have a month of pages on this one page ripped out or set up. And each day I have an agenda or itinerary of my day, even though I have a calendar right next to it. Like I see the calendar, I see my appointments, but it's just titles on a screen. I take those titles and I write down, okay, what do I know about this person I'm meeting with? Or why is this task important? And then when I do it, I not only do it, but I write notes about what I'm doing right then and there. And then I write outcome, like detailed notes. And when I have random thoughts come up throughout the day, I journal about it, or even emotions, right? Because I'm also trading, investing, and it gets very emotional, right? Because you're like, man, I will hodl game. Hold on for dear life, baby. Don't sell. Follow the plan. It's down 10%, but it's okay. Buy the dip. But, it gets emotional. So like or I get off a sales call, or I'm doing a sales training, or, you know, customers being, you know, a diva, right? When, you know, a client might be a diva, or a customer might be going through, you know, some mental health issues, or someone internally, you don't know if they're working, like, you know, like dealing with those things. I just get them out into this journal so they're archived, right? But it's archived in that day and it's out of my head. So I'm able to stay focused, radically focused. And when things come up, I'm like, oh, I could do that. I go back and I look at this itinerary and I'm like, these are my priorities for today. And I plan it in another itinerary. So I'm building other itineraries as I'm going through this itinerary, because I'm not moving away from what I said I'm going to do that day. I'm scheduling, or I'm moving that thing that came up in my mind that I know I have enough time to get to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's definitely get to start applying that. That's definitely a mindset shift for sure.
Bro, that boosted my productivity. Like, it gives me an extra, like, I feel like an extra 50% mental capacity, and an actual like time perspective. I think it saves me 20-30% of my time. Like, to be honest, man, like if I really wanted to, I could work 33% less and still be as productive. But I like spending that extra bit of time, taking the time to make sure that my energy is focused in the future, right? Because it's every day that passes, you know what I mean? Like, I plan out, like, I don't do crazy planning, but like I plan out like 10 days at a time, pretty detailed. And when I book times with my clients, like I book time like for a month, because I need to make sure I protect that time, because, you know, people might book, or I might do some sales calls for some people, or, you know, like I got to protect that time. And so like, if this is where taking a break sucks, man, this is why I'm really landing on this. Like, when you stop for 3 days, that not only like puts a hiccup in the middle of the operation, but that also affects the future, for me at least, right? Because I'm not able to like figure out like order of priority in relationship to time period of what's important. Does that make sense? Does that land?
Yeah, that makes sense. Is that just for more clarity? Because I know I deal with that as well. Would you say that the whole aspect of stopping and starting again, and that momentum that, you know, really gets, you know, put to a halt, would you say that is maybe like what's behind that, in the sense of why you don't like to lose that momentum?
I think it's cadence, man. Like, I'm not saying never take a break. I'm just saying like, yo, like, don't stop your cadence. Like, operations are ran in a cadence. Like, your business has a heartbeat. It's beating. The blood is sales, right? Like if you don't have blood, I mean, you know what I mean? Like the sales, like, so you got to keep, you know, the operation got to keep pumping, right? You got to keep pumping the blood, got to keep pumping the money, right? You got to keep pumping the value, right? When you stop the cadence, like for instance, let's just say that like every Friday or every Monday, you do a social media post at 9 a.m. or and at 9:30 a.m., you do LinkedIn reach outs. And then at 10 a.m., you do your emails, right? So you dedicate an hour and a half in the morning to pretty much outbound in a way, right? And you do it every single Monday. That's what you do. When you don't do that on that Monday, you're behind. And then it makes it harder to do it again the Monday that you just made it harder for yourself, because you just gave evidence to yourself that it's okay, man. It's all right. You missed last week. It's just one more week. It's okay. Right? Like it makes it harder mentally to execute when you lose cadence. So like, this is when we talked about like savage mode requires rituals. Like, you got to protect your rituals. Like, this podcast is a ritual, right? Usually all three of us should be on here, right? 4 days a week. Doesn't matter what we got going on. Doesn't matter if we got flights at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. and we're doing this, you know, at night. Like, it don't matter. Like, this is a ritual, right? And you got to treat everything in your business like this, because here's the part where it's really going to land, guys. This is like some next level shit I'm about to share. Excuse my language, but this is next level shit. This is the difference between a solopreneur and an entrepreneur in terms of like thinking long term. Solopreneurs are always in their head, like, why me? What's going on? Like, they think the business result revolves around them and their time. And that's why they usually get capped at, I don't know, $500,000, right? Because you only have X amount of time and the business revolves around you. To be a true entrepreneur or a business owner, you have people working for you, right? You have a staff, you have to pay payroll, you have responsibilities, right? Like you have some type of system, right? And when you have people working for you, they are only going to be as good as you allow them to be based upon your standards and the way that you show up, right? So like if you're showing up missing important things on Monday, you're giving them the permission to miss their rituals. So if you set a code, we're never getting into culture, right? Like you got to have a high standard for yourself. And you got to think of it as like, this is even about me. I got to show the example for my people so that they perform at a high standard so that we all get to the desired outcome, which is provide more value to the marketplace. And then also your clients, right? So like, if you're not at a high standard, if your clients see you slipping, you lose credibility, right? And if you're not at a high standard, why should they show up at a high standard, right? I got off a call with a client today. Like we're kind of, I wouldn't say we're behind, we're on track. I just like to move fast, but like I'm setting the standard on like, we're booking calls on this day. This is what we're covering, expectations, homework, or, deadlines. Like if you give me, like, if I have to perform, I'm holding my clients to a high standard, right? I'm holding my employees to a high standard, right? Like, so I got to hold myself to a high standard. So, but if I don't hold myself to my high standard, if I don't respect my rituals, if I'm not protecting time that's critical to the heartbeat of my business, then am I still going to be in business? Ooh, hopefully that landed, man. Hopefully that landed.
That's powerful. It reminds me of when I launched my business at the beginning of Go Figure the pandemic, and realized like this is my chance, this is my leap of faith. And invested a good amount of money into programs and things that I thought would help me not only just build a foundation but also allow me to scale at some point. In that process, the thing that I realized, and that's why it's funny looking back on this year alone, because I realized that my growth and my development from the beginning of the pandemic until now, or just in this last year alone, is so wild to think that, like, because you're in it so much, you're in the game that you don't even stop to look about like at the bird's eye view at times, and see like, dang, you know what, like even if it was slow, I grew from a lot of stuff that I was stuck in dealing with last year. In little, even if it's little subtle ways like that forward momentum. And I remember when I first launched the business, I was so, and I feel like that's one thing I'm still working on is my organization and my productivity and sense of staying focused, hyper focused throughout the day, being as productive, not busy, as possible. And I had hired a VA, and I think that is my biggest pain in business still to this day, is knowing that I let this guy down. He was from the Philippines. His name was Daryl, like really cool guy, like real sweet guy. He was really hardworking, but like I felt I failed him as a business, as a leader. I failed him because my own stuff wasn't in order. I thought that I can just come out here, I'm good at video. I've been freelancing for a little bit. I can take this thing, take my service, product or service to market, and really kill it. And I realized that I didn't have the infrastructure within myself and the foundation stable enough within myself to realize that I can actually have someone under me and know that I can build with them. So it got to the point where, just being transparent and open, it got to the point where like Buddy was so confused. Matter of fact, when we all went to Yosemite, I came back from the trip. I checked my email. I'm like, yo, where's Daryl at? Daryl took off. I have not heard from Daryl since. Daryl relieved him. See, he you know what? I'm just gonna relieve myself from the situation. And that was the biggest sense of feedback for me at the time to realize, hey, man, you need to have a serious come to Jesus moment with yourself. Like, everybody has this bug to be an entrepreneur, but are you really meant to be an entrepreneur? Or are you meant to be an entrepreneur or some other, some work at a job? Okay, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Understand your skill set, understand what your value is, and stay in that lane. For me, I knew I was bred to be an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I've always known that. It was just, I knew that my operating system, that's when I picked up Atomic Habits. Because I realized my operating system didn't serve me anymore. I was still running as if I was playing football, but yet I was running a business and I had people that were dependent on me. It was still the same aspect of teamwork, but yet I was no longer the person with the vision. I was no longer the person that was confident in the day-to-day aspect of how to get things done that moves the needle forward towards the ultimate vision. I had the vision, but I didn't have the, actionable steps in the process, which then not only lost confidence in myself, but I lost confidence in, how I could even lead someone. So I had a little bit of shell shock for a while of even working with other people, just like, dang, like I need to work on myself a lot more before, and it really, so you sharing that really sparked that up in me and realized like, man, like I really have come a long way. Cause there was a point in time where I thought I had it all figured out, we're in the beginning of it, realizing I had nothing figured out. Matter of fact, a VA knew I didn't have nothing figured out. So he jumped ship, it makes me laugh now looking back on it, hindsight being 2020 always, but it's crazy because you're exactly right. The main thing is, keep the main thing, and that starts with you. Know who you are, know what you need to what you bring to the table, know what you need to cultivate, know what your strengths are, and leverage your weaknesses. I think a lot of people, we spend so much time trying to work on every weakness, and I've done that for the longest time, especially coming from a sports background, that you don't realize that it's not always about you having to solve it's not always having to solve every single problem. It's you solving the right problems, and you being able to cultivate and you adding value to the people around you and being able to empower the other people that do something better than you. One thing I love about you and I, and our cohesiveness is like, you get it in the sense that how my brain works, where it's like it can be, very ADHD, very scatterbrained at times. And there's times I focus very, so it's that inconsistency, but also you have while my mind is very visionary focused, like I can take somebody's vision, I can boom, 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 boom. Here's what we do strategy wise. You have the actionable steps of like the engineering background of breaking down the process. And while you break down the process, that's what allows somebody like myself to be able to calm down and realize like, oh, wow, we're really doing this thing. We're really getting in the game. And it gives us the confidence to move forward towards a vision rather than just staying stuck in, no man's land of I have a dream, I have a vision, but yet I have nothing to actually implement and to carry out.
Man, shout out to MLK for I Have a Dream, right? All right. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's go here. So I'm just feeling like it's Christmas, right? Because what they got, why I love just giving out, not like what I know for free, like not attached to like, I don't care if people pay or not. I mean, obviously I want to secure the bag. I'm a sales guy, but why I'm all about like just giving away like my like hacks or experience or whatever. You know why, man?
Nope, but you're gonna tell me though.
Because I'm such a freaking nerd to learn new things and grow. And like, obviously this is life experience is going to create more knowledge, that what I know now is nothing compared to what I'm going to know in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or 12 months, or who I'm going to meet, or, you know what I mean? So like, I look at it as like, man, like just giving out free game and just being abundant with knowledge and giving, which, hey, here's a cool book that every single person who listens to this podcast should listen to, which we'll have a book list for you guys as the season keeps rolling, but it's called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. And it talks about like not being a go-getter, but a go-giver, and it's a way of life. And so like when you're always living from this cup of like, giving is like one of the most selfish things you do, man. Like, because when you give, it just fills you up, right? Because you're being of value to other people. And then two, some of the best ways to learn is by teaching. Like, By far, man. Like I honestly like I was already a pretty savage sales guy, but when I like really became even better salesperson is when I started teaching people sales, training. Like I became like I learned more in that than actually like when I first learned sales.
Yeah, that makes sense. It honestly, it makes sense. Yeah.
Dude, also real quick before I forget, because I did forget. Heather's gonna hate me saying this because she hates the word failure, but who cares? My boss, when I think I said this in a recent episode, but one of my first bosses told me, if you're not failing, you're not trying. That literally like changed my life, man. Like changed it. Like, and I noticed when even I reflect, like every time I failed in my mind at the time, or when I lost, it was just to call it a loss, when I took an L. At the time, it was like the biggest thing in the world, right? But then I learned from that and then I bounced back. Somehow, I don't know what happened or what clicked, but I stayed in the game and I bounced back. It could be in the stock market. If you lose money in the stock market on the stock, if you don't get back in the race and learn from what you learned from, it's only truly a loss when you stop. But if you learn from that loss, you can make a ton of money. Like Ray Dalio, man. Ray Dalio lost everything. I remember I was reading his book, and he was talking about how he had to borrow $4,000 from his dad to pay for his bills. And he actually owns the largest hedge fund in the world right now. Right? He wouldn't have done that if he stopped there. He could have stopped there. Yo, Pops, let me come work for you, man. Right?
Yeah.
Dude, when I was in corporate, I did a job and it went south. It cost the company $20,000. Right? I got scammed. We got scammed from a con artist. And after that, I could have easily been like, I'm the new guy, I suck. Like, man, I could have just quit. Like, hey, put me in somewhere else. But no, like after that, I thought it was a lot of money at the time. But then after that, it's like, man, after you collect 100,000 RPOs, 500,000 RPOs, you know, after you start collecting the bag, you're realizing like, man, that situation of me getting conned from someone who was too good to be true let me like have a better filtration of like who's a good client, who's not a good client. And then really identifying and like understanding when I did get a client, I had way more appreciation because I know what could be on the opposite end of that. Man, hopefully that led it. Dude, my first business, I wouldn't say it failed, but COVID tanked it. And I consider that a loss. I mean, I can still bring it back at some point, but when I probably am going to bring it back probably next year, not 2022, but 2023. But that taught me something because my energy changed drastically and I got back into sales, right? And into the consulting world. But that experience taught me how to run a business, the business models, and like how hard entrepreneurship is. So when I'm talking to other entrepreneurs, like I'm not just talking from a lens of being a consultant. I'm talking from a lens like, yo, man, I got you as a business owner too. Like I know how hard it is, right? You got to do operations. You got to do, marketing. You got to do sales. You have to do like planning. You got to do all these things, right? Compliance, right? So that temporary L at least, taught me some lessons, right? So, man, like what I'm pretty much bringing up, man, I'm not trying to turn this to a coaching session or anything like that, but like you should push yourself to the point of a loss, right? Like if you truly haven't lost, bro, like if you truly haven't lost, you're not going far enough. Like that's kind of the realness. Like I'm talking about a loss. Like I know Heather says she doesn't have any stories of like, sleeping in cars. I'm not saying like go homeless. I'm talking about a loss, bro. Like kicked out of your office. I don't know, like to the point where it's like, damn, like you physically and mentally have to change. Forcefully. A breakdown. A big breakdown is what I'm saying. And it's going to hurt. It hurts. Boy, oh boy, does it hurt. But on the other side of that pain is gain, though. Tremendous gain. Because it's a traumatizing moment. Like, let's unpack this in the brain. Like, the brain is registering this, is analyzing how do we get here. And the brain unconscious is going to be like, I don't want to feel this way again. It's like you dating someone like, man, I don't want to get my heart broken like that again. I got to avoid a narcissist like that. I got to avoid victim people like that. I got to avoid gold diggers like that. I got to avoid, energy vampires like that. I got to avoid con scammers like that. Because your brain now has evidence of what not to do. But if you don't give your brain that, I hate to say this because I'm just like, I'm not trying to sound like very dystopian, but like, I'm just being super real and raw because like, if you don't push yourself to like, even when you make it, like it's a game. Like if you're not pushing to yourself where it's like, damn, you're almost, at risk of like the business collapsing. I mean, that means you're not really pressing the foot on the gas, like the potential.
Man. You're right. That's, and let's keep it really, really raw. Let's be honest. Like the majority of, I know for me, one of my fears has always been it's been, going broke, but I'm not really worried about going broke because I know my mindset. I know what, I know what I have inside of me. It's two things. One, it's losing the people that I love. And number two, it's not maximizing my life. Like I think that's like the biggest fear that I have is dying and never really actually imagining myself really living out the full manifestation of why I was even created, like what I was meant to be here for, and it's crazy because I realized from this challenge, there is that threshold, where that fear comes up and you feel that imposter syndrome, where it's like, I don't want to push the envelope even more because I don't want to burn a bridge. I don't want to lose people that I really love and care about. I don't want to be misunderstood by, me reaching out and asking to add value to you and you not being ready for it or not having the capacity for it right now. But, me maybe even digging a little bit deeper to see where, what other areas can I add value in? And, just being that, like, I don't want to come off as that snake oil salesman or that guy that's just like, hey, calm down. You're pushing a little bit too much now. I know that's a problem that I've always had, even from the leadership program we had done a couple of years back. That was the feedback that I got from the senior leadership was, like, Josh, you're so talented, you're so powerful, but yet you get in your own way before anybody else can ever, like, in essence, reject you. You reject yourself, you reject that momentum of you going for broke and like you said, like, shoot, what did you say? You said, like, pretty much like shoot first, ask questions later, or it's like you ask for forgiveness afterwards. It's like, that's never been me. I've never been that tight, so it's funny to see how in this stage, I can tell that I'm getting to that point because I even reached out to a mentor of mine out here in San Diego that runs a very successful creative production agency. They do like a couple $1 million a year, good mentor of mine. I reached out to him yesterday. I know he's very much like me. He's introverted. He's very just like, a little bit more reserved. And his response initially, and I actually got the response while we were on the podcast for the last episode. And so I was trying to hold my composure while my mind was kind of just going everywhere. Like, whoa, what the heck? Like, what did he receive this wrong? Like, is my, are rackets coming up right now about me being misunderstood? And, yada, I'm creating a bunch of stories in my head, like whatever's going on. It was crazy because his response, it made me realize that, like, all I could do was really just laugh it off. If he really knows me, I mean, besides maybe, me clarifying and following up, but then, maybe clarifying my message, me following up after that means that will be the true measure of the type of relationship I've built with him. If you believe that me asking to add value to you is not good enough, or it's not your style, but yet I'm getting so resistant in my own come from of me showing up powerfully for myself to even ask you in the first place, how we respond after this situation is going to let me know exactly the quality of the relationship that I have with you, and being able to, when I shifted my mindset to realize that I'm like, yeah, like it's uncomfortable at times to have those conversations or to ask big of from other people. But like, what do you really you're really asking big of yourself. It's not about the other people. It's really about you, because they're gauging it. They're gauging their response based off of you, right? In the first, how you show up. It's like, I'm not even in the, I'm not even the sales guru. And that's one thing that I've realized from all this stuff. That's one thing that I've always been, I don't know if there's a single time that you've like told me about, like, hey bro, like, I know I can help you get to this next level, or I know I can help you out with this or help you out with that within your processes or whatever, but I'm going to need some level of investment from you. Where even when I didn't have the money, I figured it out. And I was just like, yeah, sure, here. I didn't question it because I knew you. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether it was this or whether it was that, whatever. I believed in you. So that's what I was investing in. That's what I was responding to in that moment, not simply just what I could get out of it, not simply what was going on what else was going on in my life, maybe financially, emotionally, whatever at that time. And so it's realizing going forward when it comes to adding value to people, when it comes to, like you said, essentially going for broke. You can do that as long as you keep the main thing, focusing on who you get to be and show up as, and how you ask yourself, how big you ask of yourself first. Because how can I ask big of someone else and asking them for their money essentially in exchange for my value if I'm not even asking big of myself internally first? So it's like, that's just a quick little shift that I know I've had more recently, within my own development and process, just being, raw and transparent. But I know that for me and a lot of other people, especially in the creative space, it's very much tied in. The people don't go the extra mile, especially in sales, because we deal with that imposter syndrome, or that fear of being misjudged, or people not taking ourselves seriously, or thinking that we're not worth it. I feel like rejection is just like a microcosm of what the bigger issue is, or it's just losing people, but us being able to actually open up those conversations and talking about that boldly and honestly, I think it allows other people, that are other listeners, to then be able to empower themselves to realize, what, like, we're all no different. Where I don't care whether you're even I was talking to the guy the other day, the multimillionaire is sitting there telling me, I deal with imposter syndrome almost every day, bro. Like, there's nothing. I've secured the bag a long time ago, and I'm over here still feeling the same way. You know what I'm saying? I'm waking up in this multi-million-dollar mansion, like, dang, did I really do? Are you sure I didn't scam nobody to get here? Like, it's it's just weird how it happens like that. But I know, like Heather told me, off the air the other day, it's really how you deal with it, how you process it, and how you move through that, for yourself, because it's never going to go away. You're always going to have that in different areas of your life. Just make sure that you separate that business imposter from your personal imposter, and don't let your personal ever intertwine and be the main thing that's leading your life. That's when you have a really big issue, but I mean, I digress from that whole topic. But the main thing is just show up as yourself, be bold, ask big, and the right people are always going to be in your corner. That was the hardest lesson for me to learn in this process. Because, like I said, I've been scared of losing people that are close to me. Because I'm just upbringing, traumas I've gone through, stuff that I've worked through or have been working through, I should say. That's always been a big thing for me. So don't allow that stuff to hold you back. The world needs your value. That's the last thing I'll leave with it. The world needs your value. And until you shine your light, you're not giving other people permission, like the, poem says, you're not serving the world by actually dimming your own light, and I've done that for the longest time. So it's asking big, it's being able to declare who you are, what you want. And it's being able to continue moving boldly through the setbacks, through the losses, through the lessons, or AKA failures, as some people want to put it. It's working through all that stuff to get to the ultimate goal of, the person that you get to become in alignment with that vision that you get to create for the world.
Huge, man. Huge. I think that's a wrap. I think we're gonna end on that note for sure. We started off with the crypto news. I don't want to share anything today. Just look out for some videos. I'm planning on creating the Campfire Capitalism NFT for NFTs and cryptos for beginners course. I won't even call it a course, just a quick informational series on a YouTube channel. It's probably going to be like 5 to 15-minute videos, just really starter videos on like basic concepts and understanding the game a little bit. So you guys look out for that. If you want to come on the pod, feel free to jump on the website, fill out the form real quick. Let us know who you are, what you want to talk about, what topics you want to play in the sandbox with, and we can possibly get you on the show. Shout out to the producer. Big shout out to you. Big shout out to our social media manager. Big shout out to you. And shout out to you guys for listening because you made it here, right? So if you found this episode pretty valuable, pretty interesting, if you feel as if it resonated with you, or if you think that someone else would get a lot of value from the topics that we talked about today, then feel free to share it with them because we are here to share the mission. And we're in this for the long run, guys. So so much love for you guys. So don't forget to hit that ratings button, send us a review, give us some feedback, and we'll see you in the next pod. Cheers. If you call